Welcome to your astrology and spirituality overview for Sunday, the 24th of January. Thank you so much for joining us. For this Sunday, we are using the Nature Whispers Oracle cards to see what nature message comes through.
I would say these, in terms of the graphics, these are probably my favourite cards.
Really?
Yeah, the graphics are so lovely, aren't they?
They remind me of a kind of a moocher style.
Okay, what's that then?
Kind of just like very ethereal.
Okay.
This is so beautiful. It's a gorgeous card here, and it says love matters. We keep sort of pulling cards along this theme lately, about love and that word being on the card itself. Love does matter, because love is our feeling towards another person. Now, some people would say the opposite of love is hate, but that's not actually true, because if we think of opposites and how they work, the opposite of love would be sort of just being completely detached, having no feeling. So that is kind of like the pole that we're on. And so
that's interesting.
As we move more towards love, we're becoming more inclusive with each other, more in each other's frequency from a spiritual point.
So where does the hate end up in that spectrum and beyond love at the other end of the spectrum?
I would say it was kind of mixed in with love, because to hate somebody, we have to have had a strong feeling towards them in the first place.
But isn't that more to do with passion rather than love?
I suppose,
just fire.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it could
a fiery
be.
reaction. Oh, that person, I've really found them difficult. Mm-hmm. So that's very passionate. Or I really, really love that. That's passion, isn't it?
Yeah, that is passion. But hate is passionate as well.
Exactly, yeah.
So they're not that different. You know, that old saying, there's a fine line between love and hate. In vibrationally, in a way, there is, because it's a feeling of an outpouring of some kind of emotion, whereas being detached, not having any kind of feeling towards anything, apathetic, numb, is the absence of that passion. And so today we're being reminded that love matters, passion matters, things that we care about matter, and we shouldn't ever feel like we have to be silenced about embracing those parts of ourselves.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. Well, today, the planet of structure, but also of coolness, Saturn, is sat right alongside the Sun. So, obviously, the way Saturn works, it moves through its entire cycle over around about 29 and a half years. Also, the lunar cycle takes about 27 and a half, 28 years. So that's why, for a lot of people, things do happen in their lives around about 7 years, because the journey of the moon, the lunar cycle, and the Saturn cycle are very closely allied, although they may, of course, be in different parts of our chart. So that's why we tend to get things at 7, 14, 21, 28 going on in our life, I feel. So obviously the classic sort of understanding of Saturn on the Sun is of limitation, therefore. So the Sun's about the passion that Elisa talks about. It's actually in its detriment in the sign of Aquarius, because obviously where it really is at its best is in the sign of Leo, which it governs. So it's in a low point, if you like. And then we put Saturn alongside, which is the co-regent of Aquarius. So I think it's kind of saying to us that it's all very well being very individualistic, which is what we get from the creativity and the flair and the charisma of Leo. What the energy of Aquarius is about, especially in that alliance with Saturn, is to remind us to take it seriously about our obligations to others as well as our own individuality. Of course, Aquarius people can be very extremely individual, but having Saturn alongside is just a little bit of a reminder that we need discipline, we need structure. We can't be totally focused on innovation and quirky stuff, which can be part of Aquarian energy. It has to be shaped in some kind of more routine way. But also today, the moon is very close to the North Node in Gemini. So I think that's a really gorgeous alliance. And that can give us a much greater idea of how we can sort out some of the confusion that has been blighting us collectively over the last few years. particularly around opinion and sharing of information. So that's been a massive boiling pot, and a lot of people feel very disempowered if they don't feel their voices are heard. But do we listen very much? So I think one of the things with the North Node and the Moon in Gemini, because it's an air sign, it's a bit less emotional, it's a bit more detached, but good for perhaps observing different ideas. So if you do have the Moon in Gemini, that's probably one of your gifts. So those are the two aspects. We also still have a right angle between Jupiter and Mars, which is absolutely exact. So one wants to expand, the other one wants to consume, which is Mars in Taurus. And it's just saying that when we go towards our targets, particularly anything to do with money, or we're thinking about spending money, it's not necessarily going to be a panacea for what really makes us feel good in a more spiritual way, which I think comes through Jupiter in Aquarius more. But because they're in a square, we could find ourselves being a bit more impulsive to go for something that we want. But with the Sun being anchored by Saturn in that way, and the Moon on the North Node, perhaps somehow or another we can find another point of a little bit more orientation after what has been such a disorientating time for so many of us. So if you would like to read your free daily horoscope, please see that beneath this video, or check out Elisa's free 3-card tarot, which is absolutely super. But for now, from the A Collective,
it's goodbye from him.
And it's goodbye from us. Goodbye.